Hello again, people. We are back in southern Colorado with a new large property boasting county-maintained roads and underground utilities situated not only in the shadows of the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, but also about 15 minutes north of Lathrop State Park. This one's a big one, guys. 36 acres, priced at $42,000. Learn all about it and more after the intro. All right, people, so the property we're going to be talking about today is located down here in south central Colorado's Huerfano County. Of course, this county boasts no more than a population of 10,000, but as we like to say, what this region lacks in people, it makes up for in outdoor attractions. Of course, in close proximity to the property, you've got the Great Sand Dunes National Park, Zapata Falls, the Spanish Peak State Wildlife Area, and all this green stuff that you see on the map here, which is, of course, forest area, ideal for hunting. And what can we hunt in Colorado besides anything with four legs? Well, specific to this region, you've got a lot of elk, mule deer, wild turkey, and bear, all of which call this area home. Of course, it should be noted, guys, that the I-25, one of the major interstates within Colorado, cuts through this county, connecting you easily to cities as near as Pueblo, just 45 minutes north, and as far as Denver, roughly 2.5 hours north. And should you elect to drive in the opposite direction, you'll be glad to know that you are none too far from the New Mexico state border, and more specifically, some of the best skiing in America in the Taos Ski Valley. Of course, it bears mentioning that closer than all of that, also here along the I-25, a quick 10-minute drive from the subject property, you've got the town of Walsenburg, aka the county seat of Huerfano County. And it should be noted that even though Walsenburg boasts no more than a population of roughly 3,000, you will have easy access to schools, churches, and medical facilities like the Spanish Peaks Regional Health Center, as well as plenty of stores for groceries and supplies, which, should you elect to purchase and develop today's property, will come in handy. Of course, let's not bury the headline here, people. One of the major selling points of this property, one of the major attractions in very close proximity of this property is the Lathrop State Park, located just outside of Walsenburg and roughly 15 minutes from the parcel we'll be discussing today. This park is home to not one but two lakes, the Horseshoe and Martin Lakes, which of course will offer plenty of opportunities for boating, fishing, jet skiing, and general water-based recreation. But also, as you can see from this map we boosted from the park's website, this area offers plenty of space for RV and tent camping, hunting, bird watching, hiking trails, and, get this people, shower and laundry facilities. They thought of everything. Whatever the case, people, this region, as you can see from the photos we had taken during multiple seasons of the year, is a really pretty area, really relaxing, has some great views of the surrounding mountains, and should provide countless hours, too many hours to count, of recreation and fun. All right, people, with all that said, the subject property is located up here just west of where the I-25 meets State Highway 69 in a subdivision known as Eagle Flat Ranch. Now, Eagle Flat occupies roughly this area we're outlining here on the map, everything north of the 69 and just a little bit shy of where the Huerfano River cuts across. All of this is this particular subdivision, which consists of a lot of large parcels like the one we're profiling here today. A lot of properties between 35, 45 acres in size. Now, the subject property is located down here, sort of at the entrance to the sub, and if we go to our Google Earth representation of this thing in the photo gallery, you'll see a couple notable features that jump out at you here. First off, the property backs up to the aforementioned State Highway 69. Of course, this state highway is not legal access per se. The county has put up a fence between the two. But as you can see over here, this road, which is County Road 614, enters the subdivision pretty close by and does create a legal, and I would add county-maintained road here along the northeast portion of the property. And of course, as always, people, just to prove we're not making up these random geometric shapes, we have a filthy Xerox copy of the plat map here in the gallery as well, provided by the county. Ah, look at that. Anyway, the better view of this thing, of course, is here in the drone photo, specifically this angle, which reveals the paved state highway over here along the southern end of the parcel, and this angle, which is the reverse, and kind of gives you a better sense of that county road frontage along the northeast side. Long and the short of it, people, is that you've got county-maintained access to the lot, so no matter what you're driving, you're going to be able to easily access the land. Now, a couple things I just want to pause on here in this image just to show you guys before we get to the ground photos. The first is this, what looks like a trail that cuts through the northern end of the property and kind of chops off the top. This looks like a road or some kind of legal easement that your neighbors to the west would use to access their land. That, however, is not the case. If you study the plat map, you'll see that their legal access road to their land runs here along the northern portion of the subject property. It does not run through it. This thing that you're looking at, and we've got some photos from the ground, is more likely one of these things created by local yokels who just kind of drive through the property because no one's around to tell them not to. Point being, if you do elect to purchase this land, you can fence this trail off and bar access from it, and you will be well within your rights. Additionally, I do want to talk about power lines that you see running here along the northern end of the property. As you can see a little better in the ground photos, these are transmission lines, so these should not be confused with residential power lines. There are no residential power lines running along the property, not even here along the south end, along the highway. The nearest ones, from what we can tell, are located about a mile north of this parcel, up here in another part of the subdivision. Now, with all that said, it's important to note that the area actually has underground utilities, presumably telecom, maybe power related, and I would love it, people, if we had a photo of these to prove that they exist out here and that I'm not just making it up. Regrettably, however, our photographer seems to have missed this, which suggests to me that they're not immediately at the property line, but rather a little further up the road. Whatever the case, I have seen enough properties listed in this region to know that they exist out here and do exist fairly close to this property. And anybody who wants to check me on that is, of course, welcome to take a drive out there and scout the land. In addition, guys, do want to point out there are some property boundary markers in place out here. Of course, our photographer did not scour the entire 36-acre lot, but he did find one or two, which is usually a good sign you can find the others. Whatever the case, this, of course, is always a benefit to potential buyers because it means you don't have to spend a bunch of money to get the property surveyed. Of course, if you do plan on keeping livestock out here and you do want to fence them in, might be a good idea to get a professional out there to make sure you're putting the fence in the right place. If, however, you want to use this solely for recreational purposes, my guess is you'll be able to safely use the land without intruding on the neighbors' lots. Finally, guys, do want to wrap this up simply by pointing out, number one, that this is a mostly flat property, has a bit of a rise to the back or southern end of the lot, but for the most part, this is pretty flat land, easy to build on, easy to park on. And as you've no doubt gotten the sense from the photos here, it is, like most parts of Colorado, really pretty country out here with some very nice views of the surrounding mountains. Let me get out the list, guys. You've got Greenhorn Mountain and the Bodito Cone to the northwest, and to the southwest you've got Silver Mountain, Rough Mountain, Sheep Mountain, and Little Sheep Mountain. I have no idea which is which. I'm not an expert on mountains. I'll let you guys figure that out. But the point is, beautiful scenery all the livelong day. All right, people, so turning our attention now to the topic of zoning restrictions up here at the top of the page. As always, guys, we go into a little more detail on these things, specifically right here. So to start off, guys, it should be noted that this property in the Eagle Flat Ranch subdivision, like many of the regions we try to buy in, has, let's throw it up on the screen, no HOA, no annual dues, no time limits on building, no covenants, and no restrictions. And all of this, of course, translates to greater freedom to develop the land in whatever way you see fit. Now, of course, as we like to point out in these videos, just because there are no subdivision-specific restrictions, it does not mean that there are no county restrictions. Huerfano County, as is to be expected, has a zoning board, and that zoning board has various rules and restrictions you will need to be aware of. This specific property is zoned agricultural, and I'd love to tell you that if you click this PDF right here, which is an excerpt from the county zoning ordinance, that you will actually gain some insight from it. That said, this is another one of these that is very light on details and also demands that you call the county personally with whatever questions you have. Of course, as always, we provide the contact information here and on the listing page. That said, I got to tell you guys, from what I have seen of this county, and even from what I see of the types of home sites that are built in this region, it's my impression that Huerfano County isn't a county that says no very often. I think they're more of a pay us for the permit and you could do whatever you want type of county. And I say that because of the development I see out here and in other places we've purchased in. You'll see single-family residences, you'll see mobile and modular homes, that's to be expected, but you'll also see a lot of what we call unconventional structures, like A-frame homes, shipping containers, as well as what look to be a lot of sort of unpoliced RV usage. In fact, if you go back to the property photos, you'll see this RV parked on one of the neighboring lots, which I think has been there for a while because it also shows up in the satellite image. Whatever the case, one of the few things this PDF actually does bother to enumerate is minimum square footage, which in Huerfano County is 600 square feet. So depending on your definition of a tiny home, you may even be able to do that out here. Either way, people, it's a 36-acre property, so at the very least, you know your neighbors are not going to be monitoring you too closely, and that is always a good thing. So if you would like to purchase this property, you'll be glad to know that we closed on through Daughter Abstract, which not only means that we receive title insurance, but also that we will be conveying it to you with clear and marketable title. So just come up here to the top of the page, click the Buy Now button, which will take you to this secure checkout, where we ask for a non-refundable, people, let me say it again, non-refundable $500 earnest money deposit. Now, to be clear, guys, this is not a property that has any financing offered. This is not a property where we're doing monthly payments. This is a property where we expect you to have the entire cash price. So if you do not have the entire cash price, you should not initiate this transaction. For those of you who do, however, here's the way it works. Come down here, give us the name for the deed, name for the contract, your mailing address. Then at the bottom of the page, agree to the terms of service, click Next, and on the very next page, you can enter credit or debit card information to place the $500 deposit. Now, to be clear, guys, this is an expensive property. Really, anything north of $10,000, we encourage our buyers to close through a title company on. Of course, you don't have to do that. Nobody's got a gun to your head. It's up to you. But when you're spending this kind of money, we recommend getting title insurance. And of course, one of the major benefits here for you, the buyer, is that with a title company, you've got a third-party intermediary who is not only handling the conveyance of the property, but also the disbursement of funds, meaning we cannot touch your money until such a time as the property has been deeded into your name. Now, if you're unfamiliar with how that whole process works, you'll be glad to know that on the listing page, we've got this helpful Notes About Purchasing, which goes into a little more detail here, but more helpfully, it links you to some pages on the website which will go into even greater detail about this process. The first page is called How It Works Buying From Us, and if you go here, you can see exactly how this process plays out. Step 1, you place that deposit. Step 2, we're going to draft a contract. You sign it, we sign it. And step 3, the title company will do the rest, albeit slowly and over the period of about a month. And in case you're at all skeptical about placing money before seeing the contract you'll be asked to sign, you'll be glad to know we have a copy of our standard sale purchase agreement right here. You can click that and read through a generic version of what that contract looks like. It's a pretty easy contract, one page for signatures. If you got a lawyer in the family, have them give it a look-see, but it's pretty self-explanatory. Additionally, guys, if you haven't been through the title escrow process before, you're probably going to have a lot of questions about it. You'll be glad to know we have a page on our website entitled Title Escrow Frequently Asked Questions page. So if you click on that, it'll take you to this page where pretty much every conceivable question we have ever gotten from a buyer or will ever get from a buyer is answered here. Questions about benefits, questions about potential drawbacks, timeline, schedule, logistics, so on and so forth. So we encourage you, give that a read. In conclusion, people, really glad to be back in southern Colorado with another one of these large acreage properties, particularly in a region like this so close to the lake and to the state park, but also in a subdivision like this where you're really going to be able to develop the land with a lot more freedom and independence than you would find elsewhere. Additionally, of course, it's Colorado, so you're surrounded by plenty of opportunities for hunting and fishing and a lot of beautiful scenery pretty much everywhere you look. I really like this one. I hope you guys do as well, and I will see you in the next video.